This is Gemara Baba Basra Daf Samuche. In today's shir, we like to dedicate as an incredible schos aliyas neshama for Yehuda ben Daniel ben Sion, whose yahrzeit is tomorrow on the 26th of Av. B'siyata the Shemaya, the learning of the entire Chabura should bring Yehuda ben Daniel ben Sion to higher place in Gan Eden Shamayla, closer to the Kisei HaKavod, and ultimately be a source of Nachas, be a source of Milut Yesher for his entire Mishpacha. When the last line of Samach Dalet and Beis, in which the Gemara concludes the previous discussion, the Machlekes of Akiva the Chachamim, Itmar Rav Huna Amar Rav, says Rav Huna Amar Rav, as we turn over to Samachei Amid Aleph, says the Gemara, what is the halacha? Says Rav Huna Amar Rav, halacha Kedivri Chachamim, we paskin like the Chachamim, whereas Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba Amar Shmuel teaches us halacha ki Rabbi Akiva. And of course, the top Rashbam points out, just in case we forgot from yesterday's daf, what does it mean we paskin like the Chachamim? That means Meicher B'ayin Yom, B'ayin Ra, Meicher. What does it mean we pass like Rabbi Akiva? It means Meicher B'ayin Yafe, Meicher, do you sell generously or not? Says the Gemara, we have Machlekes Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba versus Rav Huna, whether we paskin like Rabbi Akiva or the Chachamim. So Amar Le Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba to Rav Huna. Rav Yirmiyah Abba says, according to Rav Huna held that we pass like the Chachamim, Meicher B'ayin Ra, Meicher. But I asked Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba, there were times I was in front of Rav, and what did he say? Like Rabbi Akiva. So I asked Rav Yirmiyah Abba, what do you mean? There were times that I was sitting and learning in front of Rav, and I remarked that the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, and he didn't correct me. So clearly it's not like Rav Huna says like the Chachamim. Amar Lei, so Rav Huna responded, Heichi Tanita. Well, how did you say it? What is the Brisa? What is the Mishnah that you suggested, that you learned, that we're paskening like the Chachamim? Amar Le, Ibcha Tanina. So Ravim Rabbi said, I taught it the other way around, meaning that I learned in front of Rav, that Meicher B'ayin Yafe Meicher, like the sheet of the Chachamim, and Meicher B'ayin Ra Meicher, like the sheet of the Rabbi Akiva. And he didn't correct me. So said Rav Huna, said Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba, so that clearly indicates what the Psak Halacha is, that we paskin Meicher B'ayin Yafa Meicher. Says the Gemara, Mishamachi Lam Rav L'cha V'lai Midi. Responds Rav Huna, you know why he didn't correct you? The reason he didn't correct you is because he holds that Meicher B'ayin Ra Meicher, and you said that Meicher B'ayin Ra Meicher is Rishitas Rav Akiva, so he didn't correct you. So the Gemara is concluding that it had to do with the way that the halacha was set over. If you look at Rashbam, he points out the ha'atanami, that's what he held, and therefore he did not correct you. Continues the Gemara, Amar Le, Ravina le Ravashi. So comes along Ravina and he says to Ravashi, Lema azda l'taymayu. Let's suggest yesterday's Amid Beis was all about B'ayin Yafe, B'ayin Ra. Says Ravina to Ravashi, maybe Rav and Shmuel within this machlaikas are lishi tasai. Damar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel, Hachash chalku ein lehen, loy derech ze al zev, loy somu ze al zev, loy chaloi nois ze al zev. Says Rav Nachman and Amar Shmuel that when brothers are dividing an estate, they don't have a derech, one or the other, that each one takes their portion and they're not able to walk to the other's field. V'lo sulamais, they don't have a right to put a ladder in the other person's property. V'lo chaloinais, they don't have a right to say that their windows not be blocked by the brother. V'lo amasamayim zal zeh, it's a full division. They have no claim on their brother. V'zaru ba'en shalachas kvuis hen. And be careful, says Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel. Be zoyer, because this is the halacha. That's how Rav Huna Amar Shmuel, Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel said the din. Rav Amar Yeshlan. Rav says they do have the rights. So the Gemara wants to suggest that this machlekes Rav and Shmuel, this is the underpinnings of the previous machlekes. That according to Shmuel, that each one cannot have a claim on the other, holds meicher bayin yafe meicher, and therefore you relinquish everything. Whereas Rav, who says that you would have a claim on each other, holds meicher bayin ra meicher. Says the Gemara, if this is true, that the machlekes Rav and Shmuel is essentially the same machlekes as Rav Akiva and the Chachamim. The question obviously is, why do we need to repeat the same machlekes twice? Says the Gemara, usricha, and it's necessary. Diashmi inan. Says the Gemara, diashmi inan. Diashmi inan bahi. That if we only had the case of the Akasha Cholku, says the Gemara, but you come around, Rav says, then over there, Mishon Amalei Bina Lemidar Bay. Rav says, it's then over there. Why? Because Bina Lemidar Bay. The reason being is, Bina Meidar Bay Kech the Darbe Avasa. Because he can say, I want to live the same way my father lived. Therefore, I don't have a taina. Therefore, you can't have a taina on Bi Kech the Darbe Avasa. Teidan, I'll bring you a raya that this is where Rav comes from. The Chsev says in the Torah, Tachas Avaisecha Yobanecha, in the place of the father should be the child. Aval, but it's only the case of Aksha Chalku. But says the Gemara, if we only had that case, but then with regard to the case of Rav Kiva and the Chachamim, I would think even Madila Shmuel. I think the Rav agrees to Shmuel that what? Meicha Bayin Rafa Meicher. And if we have only said this case, we have only said the case of Meicher Bayin Yafa or Bayin Ra Meicher. Bahach Kamer Shmuel, I would think only in this case the Shmuel say that Rabbi Akiva that Meicher Bayin Rafa Meicher. But in the second case, in the case of Achash Chalku, maybe he agrees with Rav that he does have rights in his brother's estate. Therefore, Sricha, therefore he had to say the din both times. We wrap up this sugya. Says the Gemara, Amar Le Rav Nachman the Ravuna. Says Rav Nachman the Ravuna, what is the Limaisa? Helchsa Kavasin, Helchsa Kavaseichu. Says Rav Nachman the Ravuna, Limaisa. Do we paskin like you, like Shmuel, that what Mechabayin Yafe Meicher, or do you pass like Rab Mechabayin Ra Meicher? Amar Le Ravuna responds, Elchel Kavaseichu. Lemaisa, we pass like you. Why? The Mekarver Lababa Derish Galusa, Teshchichi Dayane, because you're close to Rish Galusa, where there are a lot of Dayanim. Therefore, you know the Lemaisa. Therefore, says the Gemara, we paskin Meicher Bayin Ra Meicher. Itmar, says the Gemara, a new din, the last narrow line. Shnei batim zelif nemizah. We have two houses, one inside of another. And of course, to get to the inner one, you have to go through the outer one. Shneihem b'mecher. Both of them are sold to two different people. Shneihem b'matana. Both of them are given to matana. Ein lem derech zelzeh. Each one has full rights, and he doesn't have the rights to get to the other one. Kol shekin, and certainly chitin b'matana p'nim b'mecher. The outside one is given as a matana, the inside one is sold. Or chitan b'mecher, the outside one is sold to p'nim b'matana, and the inside one is a matana. Certainly that is the din. Excuse me. If the inside one was sold, the outside was matana, that certainly that what elim derech zalzeh. The question is, chitan b'mecher p'nim b'matana, then what is the halacha? In that case, does the fact that he bought the inside, the outside one, does that mean that he was not sold the path for that which the inside one got as a matana? Answers the Gemara in the second line, they thought that no, they still have no rights in each other. But says Marvelohi, why not? Miloi Tanat, you're not learning the Mishnah that when is the din true? When you sell an item, then the halacha is Naisin as Kulan, you give it entirely, and therefore because he gave the inside as a matana, he meant to give him in a way that he'll even be able to access the field. Alma, what do we see from there? Mandi of matana ba'in yav yayev. And therefore he would be able to access his inside field, even though if it was bought by him, he would not. But the fact that he got his matana does avail himself that possibility. We continue with the Mishnah on the bottom of Samachayim and Aleph, continuing that which is included in a sale. Hamaycher Sabayis, and what is included in Macher Zadelas. The door is sold. Avalayis Amavteach, but not the key. Macher Zamachtashes Kivua. If someone sells the Machtashes is the mortar, the attached mortar, says the Gemara, what's included with that? Avalayis Amatzel Talas. But it's not, the movable mortar is not included. Macher is Itzrabol. If someone sells as a part of the mill, Avalayis Kelas. But the hopper is not sold, v'los a tanur, not the oven, v'los a kirai, another type of oven. But if someone makes a sale, and at the time of the sale he says, I'm selling you who? The item, and guess what? I'm selling you everything inside of it. Then concludes the Mishnah, Kulan Mechurin, everything is sold. So the Mishnah seems to indicate that if nothing is said, then not everything is included. But if he says, I'm selling you everything, then all the items are included. So says the Gemara, let's understand what's going on over here. Lema mas nisan deloi kirameir. Suggests the Gemara, let's say that our Mishnah is not like Rameir. Why are we saying our Mishnah is not like Rameir? Ti'i kirameir, because if we're going with the opinion of Rameir, Ha'amar Rameir holds machar saikerem, machar tashmishay kerem. Rameir holds that whenever you sell a keren, a vineyard, the tashmishay, the accessories of that vineyard are sold as well. Whereas in our Mishnah, it seems that only the attached items are sold. As the top Rashbam points out, that even the detached items are sold according to Rameir. Answers the Gemara, no, Filatem Rameir. Why? Ha, some gavi, ha chaloi kvi. The difference over there we're talking about it's kavua. It might not be attached, but it's kavua. It's always there, and therefore it's sold. Whereas by us, they're not always there. Ask Gemara 1 second. V'mavteach. Domya dedeles. But Mishnah says that a key is not sold with a house. It refers to a key similar to the door. Now, what is that seemingly teaching us, Katani? Ma'adel's the kvi, matech the kvi. It's teaching us that it's kavu, and yet it's not part of the sale. So seemingly, again, not like Rav Meir concludes the Gemara machvarta masnitza like Rav Meir. And as much as we don't like to limit who is the sheet of our Mishnah, the Gemara concludes we have no choice. 7 lines down, machvarta, that the Mishnah does not fit with the shita of Rav Meir. Taner Rabbana, now we continue with another brisa. Someone sells a house, he sells the door, and he sells part of the bolt, the es haminol, and the lock. But the key is not sold. Masar and Machtesh is chakuk. Machar es hamachtesh chakuka. He sold the mortar that was carved out, it's attached to the ground. V'lo like kavua, but not with that which is just set in part of the ground. Machar itzrabol. The mill part is sold. Avaloy is a kelas, but not the hopper of los ataner of los girayim. Avaloy as chayim. Says the Brisa continues further. Rav Eliezer Omer teaches Rav Eliezer, call a mechuber lekarka. Hariu kikarka is all part of the ground. Says Rav Eliezer, and therefore it is yes part of the sale. Back to the Brisa. Bisman shamar loy. If at the time of the sale the seller says, "Who it's all sold, all items." Concludes the Brisa, whether he says or not, the bar, the dos, and the yitzia, the spit, the cistern, and the annex are not included. So we have a Brisa. The Brisa is Machlekes Tanikama Chachamim versus Rav Eliezer. And the basic machlekes is whether something that is complete, a full item, is considered mechuber lekarka, that'll be part of the sale, or not. So Taner Rabbanan, the Gemara is going to bring a riot. It's going to sound like from left field, but it's going to be from the Hilchos Mikvahis. But you know that when it comes to a mikvah, it's also of critical importance whether something is considered part of the ground or not, because Mayim Shuvim passes the mikvah. But if a certain item is part of the ground, then it won't make the water Shuvim. So says the Brayso Tanarabban, Sinor Shechakul B'Seiv Kavu, Paislas HaMikvah. We have a tziner, we have a pipe that was cut out and then attached to the ground that passes the mikvah, makes the water Mayim Shuvim because it's considered like it came from a vessel. Kavu B'Seiv Chaku. If it's first attached to the ground and then chiseled out, Eino Paislas HaMikvah. So Mani, who's the Shita, Lo Rav Eliezer, Lo Rabbanan, and says, we have a problem. So doesn't fit according to Rav Eliezer. Hey, Rav Eliezer, which Rav Eliezer? Elim Rav Eliezer the bias, Tamayna Tam Rav Eliezer, Samar Meichain Yafa Meicha, Rabban Samar Meichain Ra Meicha. So therefore, it's no sheikhs. El Rav Eliezer the Kaveres must be Rav Eliezer of the Kaveres Devaira in the case of the beehive. The Tanan Kaveres Devaira Rav Eliezer Imareu Kikarka. Kosla prosbal, whereas the Chacham, the Eina, as we turn over to Amid Aleph, Eina Makalas Toma b'Makayma, V'Aroy Demena b'Shabbos, you're going to be Chayiv Chatas, the mamish considered attached to the ground, where the Chacham Imrim, Eino Kikar Kavina Kosla prosbal, Uba Kabelsa b'Makayma, V'Aroy Demena b'Shabbos, you're going to be a potter. So for this Mishnah, what do we see? That a beehive that was first created and then attached to the ground, we see Rav Eliezer holds that this would end up being a steer. I'll pick it up from here as we'll delve deeper into this Shita and this Machlek Shav Lezer and the Chachamim.